Now, let's say you earn a salary, but 30% of your paycheck goes straight into your neighbor's bank account every month. And with the 70% that's left, you have to pay your bond, your electricity, your water, your car payments, school fees, groceries, and everything else. And you are such a loving, caring family that your neighbor's kids, they love being at your place. Maybe they're having dinner at your house a couple of nights a week and even lunch at your place on the weekend. They're eating your snacks, sharing in your food, and you're the one that's picking up the bill with that 70% that's left because 30% is going to your neighbor. Now, this is the reality of every South African, and I'm going to explain why that's happening in a little while, but this is happening. It's happening very passively. Hi, my name is Yolanda. I'm a wealth advisor. It is my goal on this platform to give you easy, actionable tips, content, and strategies that you can use to manage money well, to live abundantly, and build generational wealth. It's the Wealth Nation podcast. Thanks for being here. If you are listening on Apple, on Spotify, please, I would really appreciate it if you could leave me an honest review of what you think about this podcast and what future content you'd like to hear on this podcast as well. All right. And I'm also the director of Solomon Wealth Management. I help South Africans in the country and outside the country as well with their money, building wealth, retirement planning, estate planning, anything money related. I'm going to be helping you with it. Everything from getting your bond in place, getting your will in place. I'm the person to chat to. So click the link where you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, or go to my website. It's solomonwealth.co.za and book a complimentary appointment. And I would love to chat to you one-on-one about your money. All right. So we're talking about 30% going to your neighbor, and it's really happening. And it's happening via an agreement called the Southern African Customs Union Agreement. Now, this is a trade deal that South Africa is in with its neighbors, Botswana, Eswatini, Namibia, and Lesotho. All right, and part of the agreement is these countries, they don't charge the extra fees or duties when trading goods, and also when goods are imported from Europe or from China or anywhere else. The customs duties that are collected are split with all of these countries. Now, for me, that's a little bit unfair because look at these countries, right? Botswana, Eswatini, Namibia, Lesotho, these are tiny countries. I mean, population-wise, they couldn't even match up to any of the provinces, any of the 9 provinces in South Africa. So from a consumption perspective, we are the biggest. Yet we are sharing our duties with these tiny countries. South Africa loses around 73.5 billion annually in this deal. Ironically, that same amount, 73.5 million, that's the plug that the government wanted to fill by raising VAT by 2% a couple of months ago. Right? We have the biggest population, the biggest consumption, yet we give away a massive chunk of our revenue. And when we are short, what does the government do? They make us pay for it. Right? So while we are struggling with load shedding, raising taxes, and a broken economy, smaller nations rely on the South African taxpayer to directly fill the gap in their budget. For example, Botswana gets 30% of its national budget from this agreement, the South African Customs Union Agreement. Eswatini gets 40% of its budget from this agreement. Now, South Africa has been trying to change this deal since 2011, but nothing has happened. Why? For me, I feel it's political will. All right, political will seems to exist for some things like funding international court cases and fighting battles in other parts of Africa. But for protecting South Africans, there's zero political will. Now, if South Africa renegotiates these deals, these countries might have to raise taxes or cut spending. But guess what? Our taxes are going up because our government won't plug the leak. Now, it's time for South Africa to fight for a fair deal and stop making its citizens pay for poor leadership. We're not just paying for poor leadership of our country. We're paying for poor leadership in Botswana, in Namibia, in Lesotho, and Eswatini as well. The money is there. We just need leaders willing to go and claim it. All right, we got to vote better. South Africans, please feel free to share this message with friends, with family. All right, we have to vote better because right now we can't push government to do anything. All right, it's only votes that's going to bring a regime change, a long-needed regime change into South Africa to set South Africa in the right path, away from socialism, away from communism, and more of the free market, and more of entrepreneurial capitalism. Because that's the only way to lift our country out of poverty and to close that income gap. Thanks for joining me today. If you want to understand more about how these political plays are negatively impacting your money and the shields that you can put up to protect yourself, your family, your children, your wealth, and your retirement, I'd love to chat with you one-on-one. Click the link where you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, or go to my website. It's solomonwealth.co.za.